CDC?
No, that would be the city's portion if with the CDC's 30, with the school district's participation and the CDC, that leaves the city in that $17,000 to $38,000 commitment.
If council wishes to, we can split 50-50 with CDC. It's whatever council's wishes are.
No, I was just trying to get an understanding of the number. It sounds like the city's putting in more than anybody.
Well, the city's only putting in, no, 51,000 is the school district.
I mean, I'm sorry, I meant school district with 51. They're
Right.
putting in more.
Right, but that is their commitment to build the 5-foot sidewalk down that same route with the development. And in talking with Dr. Brown about that, he mentioned that he would rather participate in the 12-foot trail, or shared use path, in lieu of building a 5-foot sidewalk that then would have to be amended to later for a larger path.
Okay, one more question. Maybe I'm not reading the scale right on this, but it doesn't look like that portion right there is as much, as long as what going down Dallas Street was?
It's approximately 100 feet short.
100 feet, okay.
Yeah. It's like 1,400 feet down Dallas Street, the Van Alstyne Parkway. This is about 1,250 to 1,300 feet.
Okay.
Mayor and council, one of the things that appealed to the school district in discussing this item was in having the 12-foot path instead of the sidewalk was people that drop their children off at the new elementary or the junior high had the ability for their kids to walk back and forth. I know they can do that on a 5-foot sidewalk, but it gives you more room, gives you more utility, and that was one of the things that appealed to the school district.
I have another question. The main concern before was when it was going down Dallas Street, people really didn't want it in their front yard. And I object to voting for something that I don't want to put it on somebody else. We're talking about a proposed residential development here. Is there a developer that will be developing here?
Yes,
Do
ma'am.
we know who it is?
Yes, ma'am.
Have they been consulted? And what will this do to the property value of the homes that are going to be, I know, right here? That this will contact to,
Yeah,
come in
all-
contact with.
Right. All those homes that appear to front that street are actually, that's actually their backyards. That there'll be a screen, there'll be a living screen or a masonry screen along the south side of that wall, along the south side of that street on those blocks in that first tier of the lots on that first tier. So that's their backyard. And then anything that will be facing this will be the 2 side yards on the streets across the street from the school. There is no front yard exposure on this. This is all on school property. It's between the middle school and the elementary school down to the new elementary school.
Thank you.
Hey, Lynn,
Yes, ma'am.
that funky little section before it hits that lots 1 through 4,
Yes,
is
ma'am.
that supposed to go somewhere? I mean, it just sits there and goes to nothing.
Right. It actually goes to that street intersection where there'll be a crossing into the regular sidewalks across that street on the north side of that 3rd tier of lots. And then depending if the school district would like to loop that around the backside of the school or something for their participation, that would be up to the school district, but that's not, as part, leaving it along city right-of-way, proposed city right-of-way is what this part is taking care of.
It just seems sort of extraneous segment there that really has no future plan, potentially a crosswalk is all I'm hearing.
Well, but it all,
Seems wasted.
yeah, lots 1 through 4 on that side will actually build their 4-foot sidewalk. So the design team, whoever that is, will have to figure out how to transition that down to a regular sidewalk where the lots 1 through 4 will have a standard sidewalk cross-section on the street.
Okay, and because I was trying to follow the conversation, would you do the simple math with me? You said 120 is the total sum we're looking for. The school is saying that they throw 51 into that because of crosswalk.
Well, no, 51 is just their share of a 5-foot sidewalk that would be required on the north side of that proposed street from Waco to Lot 4, basically.
Okay, so they'll throw 51 into it because it spares them from having to build something, which leaves us 69, and CDC says they already had 30 in their budget for this year, so that leaves the city's part roughly 39.
38 to 39,000, yeah. That's the most, that's with a $20,000 contingency item on there.
Correct.
The actual application has a total city participation of about 98,000. So if it could, that's where it
That's
could.
why you're saying 20 or 17
it
or
could-
13 because of the contingency.
Right, the contingency.
Okay.
You said the developer had been notified that this was a proposed plan,
Right.
and what was the developer's
Well,
opinion?
the developer is going to build the road. The school district is responsible for the sidewalk. So the developer's engineer actually put together the estimate for the school district that I confirmed. We confirmed the units and the unit pricing and all the items that go in with it. So that was done jointly with the developer's engineer and me to determine what the school district's escrow will be. Now, once they put in that roadway, the city would normally go back to the school district since they're developing the new elementary school, and they would be required to put in that 5-foot sidewalk that leads down their property to the school.
Does it just stop at the school?
Well, it would go to where it's shown at the end of Lot 4 there on the north side, where the developer's building that lot.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, so that would be that is the required length that the school district would have to build a 5-foot sidewalk.
And the developer was in agreement with this?
Yes.
You know, I guess my biggest annoyment with this is that we just talked about this at the last meeting. We did not want it. All of a sudden, this thing shows up with a whole new version of what phase 2 could look like. We've never heard of it before. I've never seen this until I got my packet. So it's hard to look at the merits of this when I have zero level of trust that the city keeps changing the stuff on me constantly. We said that we wanted to have some city discussion. We wanted to be able to have the citizens understand what was going on. And here we are in the same predicament again. Last minute, some new idea. We were told last time that we needed to look at this and consider it because we get drainage. This is all new development, so we're not getting drainage out of this. It's so hard to want to have anything positive to say about this because it's shoved on me at the last minute again. And the audience, I think, has vocalized their frustration that they didn't even get to see the couple of days worth of information that we at least got in the packet. So once again, it's lack of information and the stuff gets brought to us like we're supposed to go, oh yeah, sounds great, go ahead. Zero trust on the city staff having presented this. I'm very frustrated because whereas I like what it's saying, I can't get beyond the fact that I am just so disgusted with this stuff showing up last minute for me to consider.
Yes.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Lynn, you right here? I don't like it. I get everything you're saying, I got you. What the timeline for phase 1? And I've got to go back. So the timeline for phase 1, it was 4 years, correct?
It took 4 years from the initiation of the application to Matter of fact, at 5 o'clock today, I got the email to release for bids. So we're going to be advertising for bids in the next month for phase one.
So in the grand scheme of things, from the time that the mayor signed the form that we're asking him to sign right now, or whomever the mayor was at that time, I don't know, forgive me. It's taken going on 5 years to get phase one done.
Yes, sir.
So phase two, we're signing a pledge that we would like to do this in 5 years.
Or, yeah. Well, you would always hope it's sooner, but with the federal and state requirements, it just takes that long to go through the process.
Okay, so it's going to take another possibly 3 to 4 years, even if we're lucky, to have this phase two go into this neighborhood. Possibly.
Possibly, yes, sir.
The developer is scheduled to start when?
I believe they got corporate approval last week, so I would anticipate seeing development plan. They've had their preliminary plat approved by the P&Z and the council at your last meeting.
Yes, sir.
With corporate approval, I would expect to see their plans in the next 30 to 60 days for the entire subdivision.
Okay. So the plat, we've approved the preliminary plat for the developer.
Yes, sir.
That's going to put in this road right here.
Yes, sir.
But we haven't approved the final plat.
No. The final plat and construction plans will be coming before the P&Z, and then you'll see the plat.
Okay. So the plans for this bike trail are just rudimentary because that road may change a little bit. The bike trail may change a little bit. We pretty much know the elementary school is going where it's going.
Yes, sir.
So we still have a lot of time to play with this. What we're doing is just the mayor signing something telling the state we're good for $38,000 if we decide to do this in 4 years.
Yes, sir.
More than 38.
No, the city's part. Yes. The school's gonna sit theirs in escrow, the 51,000 in escrow. That's gonna sit there. If the bike path doesn't go in there, then they're gonna take $51,000 out and they're gonna put a sidewalk there. So there's gonna be a sidewalk or a bike trail there. They're not gonna change the crosswalk or anything else. Something's gotta go there. We're just looking at $17,000 for a really nice bike path that's gonna cost close to $98,000.
$600,000 in total, right? $500,000 for the total
Right.
construction. Yes, sir.
So what will the school's access for the sidewalk be from the backside?
Well, the developer will still be required to put in a 5-foot sidewalk on the south side of that street. So we'll have sidewalks along the south side of that same street from the developer that he'll be responsible to put in. That'll go all the way to the school, and then we can get to the shared use path. I don't want to use trail.
No, I got you.
I use that with TxDOT, and they slapped me down on it too. But so the 12-foot trail would be the one that runs between the middle school and into the elementary school.
Okay.
There's a gentleman that's been patiently
Okay, go
waiting to
ahead.
speak in the second row.
So, couple questions. How many total phases are there?
As many as the city funds.
Okay. By us doing this now, does that obligate us in any way to add any more phases or go any further with this project from this point?
No,
It's all phase by phase.
Okay.
And
Okay. So, do we have anything in place, I would assume that we do, as a council or as a city, that says if we are proposing the city to pay for something that's not typically in the budget, to give the citizens fair notice of what's going to be done and what's going to happen before that vote takes place? Is there anything in place to make that happen?
There should have been a public hearing to discuss this before any decision.
Because the last meeting we had, phase 2 was not this phase 2. And so that's what was supposed to have been brought up at this meeting, was the vote for that phase 2. Not this one, but the one that was spoken about previously at the previous meeting. So the city, let me finish. So the citizens coming in here thought we were going to be voting on something completely different than what's proposed tonight. So there has been no just or due notification to anybody about further changes except for when we showed up tonight. So obviously we violated or missed that policy somewhere, somehow. Because if there's changes made, that should be publicly noticed to people before we have the opportunity to even walk in here tonight. Otherwise, there would probably be a whole lot more people in here tonight than there was last week. So that's my second thing.
You're right, and the council, as a council member, I did not know it until the packets came out Friday afternoon.
So who's responsible for violating the policy?
So what happened was, TxDOT, because Dallas Street wasn't working, council stated that they would like to see something that does work with a property owner that is in favor for it. TxDOT put an accelerated timeline on us, had a conference call, and what ended up happening was TxDOT proposed an alignment that came down to the new elementary. The school district was in favor of it. They are the property owner. And that's why it came to council so abruptly. It's not to catch you off guard. It's not to do a gotcha. The whole idea is to meet TxDOT's deadline and to not miss on the opportunity. If council doesn't want to do it, that's fine. However, the opportunity is being presented.
I don't remember voting on doing this.
We didn't follow our own
What
rules.
is TxDOT's deadline?
The application was due last week, and the resolution is by October 1st, I believe. So,
October 1st, so we have a little bit more time.
So we could have posted it and had another week, but we didn't.
We could have done that or had a public hearing immediately before this.
I understand everybody
And then-
want a public hearing and notification of the bike trail. I'm in construction, so I understand Lynn's part. There's nothing set in stone on, the only part of the bike trail that's set in stone is phase 1. There's no set in stone in phase 2 yet, there's no set in stone in phase 3, and I mean, phase 4 would be 20 years down the road. So, I don't know how to have a public, I mean, you could have a town hall meeting or something, but a public hearing on a proposal for a bike trail in a development that doesn't exist yet because it's 4 years down the road. I know when we post hearings and we do them 30 days out, when there's a planning and zoning change, we do those 60 to 30 days out. We notify residents and everything else. But I understand everybody's grief, but there's nothing to inform anybody on, because all this is a blue line on a piece of paper. We're just asking, the mayor's just asking, can he sign the proposal to go with, to pursue it further?
Well,
Yeah, but Lee, the
But-
problem I think you're not giving credit to is that it's the fact that there's a lack of trust and a lack of communication. It's not even on the merits of this thing anymore, because I might agree with you. The problem is that we said we wanted communication and we wanted the people to know what in the world was going on, and we violated that like right off the bat. So there's no reason why we can't have a special call meeting and let people know and put it in the paper exactly what we're talking about. We can get that done and still respond to text by October 1st.
Also, think about this. If we're going to vote on this, I would want something in writing that when we vote on it, that's what it's going to be. It's not going to be, when it comes back, changed to something else. Because the last phase 2, some of the answers were, well, we can move it here. or that. I want to know, if I vote for something, that that's exactly what it's going to be. Also, you say we have a proposed development, a proposed street. It would be, you said 3 to 4 years. It won't be 3 to 4 years before that school is completed.
No.
And the street will be in. So are you saying the street's going to go in, but we're not going to know if we're going to put this in until this is approved? Because the timeline isn't fitting with what's the street, the school, and if you look, it goes right there at the school. So explain that timeline to me, how you're going to do this with the school before it is approved. If it takes 3 to 4 years just to get approved, and what guarantee would be offered that what we passed is what would be done, not, you say nothing's in stone, but the way this whole path has changed so many times, that I think if you're going to do it, agree to it and make sure it is in writing that that is what you are approving of, and not changing it time after time.
The school is planned to open next August. The school is planned to open next August. Like I said, we should see the plans for the development within the next 30 to 60 days to start construction. So count on construction almost immediately after that. They'll phase their construction, but I would anticipate that boundary road that serves that school will be the first thing they get in. Because
That's right.
Because the
And
school,
they're going to want a path too,
yeah, well,
a walk.
the walk, there will be a walk on the south side of that street as put in by the developer. That will be required by the developer.
This is showing on the, okay, you're talking about a separate sidewalk on one side.
There'll be a separate
But the
sidewalk on the
side
south
you're
side. Yes, ma'am.
talking about still has 2 roads that go through it, right? Back here? Yeah, to the parking lot there.
Yeah, those are 2 parking lot entrances. So with the development by next August, that road needs to be in, the school will be open, there'll be a sidewalk on the south side of that road, and in lieu of the school district constructing the north side sidewalk, we will escrow that money and then send, and we still have to be selected by the state for this project. If we don't win it, then that money's not available. The school district will build that 5-foot sidewalk, and this trail will go to future efforts, okay? But and the reason that the timeline is here is the deadline for the application was last week. TechSouth, this is the 3rd review they've had on it, and the Van Alstyne Trail is still in the running for final funding consideration. So they said, like Frank said, they called, said, okay, we said Dallas Street is no longer viable, and we said that the elementary school was being built. They said, it's the same length, essentially the same length. Let's go there instead. It's a direct school path to school route. So that's what was done. What Lee's talking about, it takes about 4 years to get through the federal process. We're well into we started in January on this, so we're 3/4 of the first year done already. The selection process, if they get funded, we'll know probably in the next 30 to 60 days if Van Alstyne's Phase 2 project is awarded by the state. Then there was about a 3 to 6 month funding with an agreement with the Federal Highway Administration on that project. Then they send the final contract to the city, where the final numbers, and the city will, the $98,000 to $120,000 in city participation will be identified, and at that point the city has to have the $51,000 from the school district, the $30,000 from the CDC, and then the city funds.
But doesn't the city have to put something up in before that?
No, no ma'am.
Okay, if this is turned in, what guarantee do we have that this will not change?
The application is this alignment, and they're voting on this. If the alignment changes from this alignment, then we'd have to go through the whole rating process again, which is when Dallas was denied the last time we had that, they came back and said, okay, we'll take you off the board, and that's when it was mentioned that the school district had 1,300 feet of sidewalk they needed to put in, but they could use a shared use path. And that's when the school district volunteered to pay their share, equivalent to their sidewalk. And that's when phase 2 became this configuration.
I guess my issue is I want that resolution to read with the specific details that Teddy Ann's asking for. I want it to say, based on that plan, I want you to lay out, what the understanding is of the fact that the school, and I hope that there's some sort of written agreement that says that they're going to provide the 51,000. I wanted to say that CDC is going to provide 30. I want this resolution to provide more details. Right now, it's open-ended, and it's just us funding whatever again for $120,000.
When we first started this, there were letters of support. I would like to see a letter from the city pledging this amount of money. I would like to see a letter from the CDC pledging their amount of money so that we would have it in writing, in black and white, that there is no questions, that it will come up as it did before, and we would know ahead of time that we have a guarantee of the money. And then the guarantee that if we vote for this is what we get. And if there are any changes, there will be public notices, and citizens will know that it is not accepted, and they're considering something else in plenty of time for the city to know it, the city residents to know it. Those are the things that I think we should require if this is passed, then those requirements have to be met. And those guarantees of the money in black and white, the letter pledging it, the guarantee that it will not change without notification to the residents, and that this will stay as proposed.
Yes, we got some more. Can I ask one question here? In this agenda item description, it says, this project has not been budgeted in fiscal year 2017 or fiscal year 2018, but the local match 20% is anticipated to be budgeted in fiscal year 2019, split between the city and CDC. If the project is selected for funding, the city will have no obligation to proceed with the application if funding is not available in future budgets. So are we asking that it be budgeted in fiscal year 2018, 2019? Or are we asking for it for this 2017, 2018, because we've already approved the budget?
Right. Yeah, you've already approved the budget. It would take a budget amendment to get into 18. That is a expected timeline on when the money would need to be available. Like I said, once the elementary school site plats, that's when the city collects the 51,000. Unless we tell them to build it, then they'll build it. But when the school plats, that's when their money comes in. Then the remainder of that money is here, and based on the timelines that we're talking about, it will be at least 2018 to 2019 budget, or it's needed. Because the city pays for the upfront costs.
Mr. Patterson, you're on.
I thought when we left the last meeting, all other phases phased out until we had public hearings and stuff like that. This right here, I didn't go along with the first one, and I think you had one budget, one workshop or whatever, talk about phase 1. I never was known about it, was a system here, Now you put another way to phase 2, other notice, which is still last year. Now you put phase 2 on the system again. And I think people ought to do what the civil says, because everybody's got a problem. And we, this city council meeting last time, I had to understand that phase two and all other phases completely null and void right now.
The way I recall the minutes is that what we asked was that the funding be removed until we saw a plan. And this is what, this is the
Microphone,
plan.
please.
Speak up.
I mean, the people here is the one, people out here in the audience is the one that's got to okay it. And I think it ought to be at least 2 or 3 public hearings before you sign anything else is done.
And there was another question right here. Did you have anything different?
This is phase two.
Yes.
Does it connect to phase one?
Yes.
Where?
Highway 5.
Okay. So there'll be a 12-foot running down Highway 5?
No. it
Well,
connects to- yeah.
There already is that
Phase
phase
one.
It's kind of close. It parallels, at least, pretty much parallels Highway 5. And
Okay.
then this is a T off of it, over toward the school. And the phase one will continues down further, but this is a T off of that phase one.
So is phase one already approved and
It is.
going? Okay, because I'm trying to picture this for bike riders. I can't, this T off of it doesn't really make any sense.
Well, it's, initially, this began as pathways to schools,
Okay.
or safe pathways. Now the names of the projects have changed, and finally we're down to a shared use path, which means shared use is pedestrians, bicycles, people on electric scooters. That's generally the purpose of the path, and it is for safe pathways to school. It's also, we're hoping to create eventually, however we manage to do it, some connectivity between, north to south and to other schools and to workplaces. So that's what we're hoping, but it's done at phase time. There's no limit on the number of phases that we can go ahead and get going. It's a matter of laying them out phase by phase and paying for them. I don't know this for sure, but the next phase may go out to Palladium. We're having a difficult time getting down below Blasingame. There's some public opposition, not surprising, and no one's upset about that. But there's some opposition to getting it south of Blasingame. I'm not sure what we'll do about that. But we would like to continue with the momentum, with some momentum, on this shared use path.
So basically, from what I understand on the price, that's a $600,000 12-foot. That's all we're getting for it, the $600,000.
Well, what's the total value? Because
The $600,000 is the total project. The city's obligated share, and it is 120. So
Right, what I'm saying.
it's
Okay.
80. Yeah, it's 80.
120 divided among the school.
Well, yeah, well, and that's the resolution that the TxDOT and the state and the feds don't care how the city splits up the city share. How the school district fits in, how the CDC fits in, or how the city fits in. It's just that at funding time, the city, as an entity, no matter how they collect that money or save that money, will be responsible for that 120, up to 120,000.
That's not really my question, though. My question is that piece of sidewalk, 12-foot sidewalk that runs from Waco down to the first part of those lots, is $600,000 altogether?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And there's nothing else included? I mean, that's just a 12-foot sidewalk
Well,
costs $600,000.
it also includes the pedestrian crossing with all the flashing lights and everything that cross right there in front of the elementary school, and then the handicap ramps, and it's the construction of a trail once you leave it, so.
Go ahead, sir.
Okay. This cost of $120,000, that's 2017 concrete prices and construction prices. How does that change in 4 years? Is that figured into it?
That's the 20% contingency.
That's the 20%.
Yeah.
Good answer. Next question. Now, I was told by Anna Police that it's illegal for bicycles to ride on these city sidewalks. Not the expanded one, not what we're talking about, but the ones that will be on the other side of the street, that bicycles are not allowed to ride there, they have to ride in the street. I've lived in the Falls. I understand construction in these neighborhoods. It's fine here. Okay, instead of there. And those children are gonna go for 2 to 4 years without a sidewalk that they can ride their bicycles to get to school. And those construction people, from personal experience, are dangerous for children to be on the street. So that is the biggest issue I have, is that those kids are going to be either riding on the sidewalks, okay, we'll turn a blind eye. You see where I'm going with this? They're going to be riding in the street with that kind of construction. That kind of construction is dangerous for children, here. 4 years waiting for that. I think that's a problem. That's all I wanted to say. I don't need an answer on it, I'm just saying.
But I don't think we're looking at 4 years until this project is complete.
Well, I mean, just the timeline, it started at the first of the year when the call for projects came out. That's when we started counting from phase 1, and we're into about the middle of the third year on phase 1 right now. And just today, we got permission to advertise the project, so we are going to start construction. And it's got a 6-month construction timeline on it. And just for those who aren't familiar with phase 1, it is a 12-foot path that is off of 5, approximately 25 to 40 feet. And it runs from the north high school property line, down across the entire high school property, across the Spence property, across the middle school property, and then skirts up in front along the Buckner property, the GCEC property, and then goes back into North Park and kind of terminates behind the Memorial Park near Blassington. That is phase 1 as it's currently designed, and like I said, we're planning to advertise. Like I said, I just got the word at 5 o'clock today, so I'm preparing documents tomorrow to get it out for bids.
All right, just,
Phase
I think
1
everyone.
terminates just about 1 block from Dallas Street. One block, not 1 block.
I think everyone realizes by now that the street's not there yet, and this shared use path is going to be built pretty much simultaneously with the street.
No, the street will be in well before. I mean, the street's got to be in by next August.
Oh, all right.
And it'll be, well, I mean, with a federal project, the city's going to have to go through design selection process and the design itself, the environmental, and then the approval and application and advertising for it. So
That's a lot of money.
I'd like to-
Kids to build.
Not for this item.
So this, and the last question, this blue stripe that's up here now, the southern part of that is the dead end of that bike path?
For now, yes, sir, unless we
For
continue
now.
with a later
Just
phase.
for now.
That's never coming down to a possible Dallas Street in the future.
Yes, well, it will only be 1 block.
Possibly doesn't,
One block.
that was,
That's not the plan. Dallas Street is no longer the plan.
But it did is.
Can I make one last comment? For $4, I think it's $6 a month, I have a website that I think the city could do the same, but it has email blasts, it has blogs, things that the city can use to direct people to. If you want to sign up, you get an email that says, hey, this is what's going on, we're going to talk about this, here's some pictures about this, and it would eliminate a lot of these problems. And then we're talking about it's very little amount of money, and probably even get some high school kid who knows how to do it better than any of us, to maintain it, as far as even just to put it up there, or a college kid. I think that it might be a very cheap solution called an intern, and that we can get some information. If you're interested, you can get information as it is. I don't think those websites is even updated, right? So, I mean, we need that. And that's what builds trust. We don't go, hey, somebody's got a brother-in-law doing something over here, Instead, this is good information, I think the bike path is good. But we need to be sure that we know what's going on. Thank you, that's all I have.
She signed us. Okay.
Okay. I have an email dated July 18th that, and it's from Len McManus, and it is the attached is the nomination packet for Phase 2 of the shared use path. And Phase 2 already exists. We already have a resolution for Phase 2. Now, how can you change this without legal, some sort of legal effort? It's totally different. It talks about going down Dallas Street, the City of Van Alstyne Bike, and it's called the Bike and Pedestrian Trail. Represents a partnership between the city, the Van Alstyne Independent School District, and it says in the Economic Development Corporation, which we never agreed to. The trail will enhance the quality of life for the resident or the city residents and enhance safety for pedestrians, bicyclists, and other non-motorized traffic. And it goes on, all about going down Dallas Street. There has been no public hearings. There have been no notification to any of the people that this was changed. We already have a resolution and a plan that has been signed and submitted. And I don't think it's legal to change it without proper notification from the city to the residents that this should not be accepted at this time.
I would like to hear from our city attorney. Is there a legal ramification? I'll get it out. Ramification, because we do have this resolution. Do we declare that resolution null and void? Do we pay no attention to a resolution? Since I was not aware, I had forgotten that there was a resolution already passed for this once. So what is the power of the resolution if we have one and we ignore that one and we make another one for the same thing and here we go? Explain that to me, please.
Is this on?
No.
Can you hear me now? Just outside of this context, generically with resolutions, they should either expire on their face, or if you're going to amend or repeal them, a new resolution should acknowledge that the prior one is being amended or repealed. In regards to the application process through TxDOT for this funding, I've not been involved in the discussions with TxDOT. My understanding from what Lynn was explaining earlier is that he discussed with TxDOT that the route needed to change from what was in the application, and you're following the direction they told us to follow?
Yeah, the TxDOT called, said, this is everything okay with this application, we're ready to go to final. We said no, the council declined the Dallas Street location, and so we were getting ready to pull it from their consideration. The school district had the obligation for the sidewalk, so we offered that as an alternative Phase 2 since we had an application being submitted. TxDOT said they liked that proposal, wanted it in front. We needed to revise it with that alignment, get them the new estimates and the new proposal by the deadline last week. And then they said, well, then just to confirm, you will need to update the resolution to address this alignment versus the Dallas Street alignment. So
I do think it would be prudent for the new resolution to acknowledge that it is changing the prior one.
So you would not repeal the other one, we would just say that we were replacing it, is that correct?
Yes, but it may be worth checking with TxDOT to see if there's preferred
the language they have in front of them is the preferred
Okay.
language for that resolution. And again, they have the total city commitment of $120,000. The deal with the CDC, the school district, and city funds is it's not in their purview. It's just that the total commitment will be that.
Since we have till October the 1st, did you say, for this resolution?
Yes, ma'am.
I would really like to see a letter of support from the CDC and the school guaranteeing the money, guaranteeing that this trail would be as presented in writing, and that if it were changed, there would be a public hearing and all of the public would be notified of it.
Yes, ma'am.
And we can come back and at the same time, if we don't, we could repeal this other resolution separate from the resolution we're talking about tonight. Repeal the resolution dated, what was the date on that resolution, please?
The resolution is dated the 9th of May, 2017.
Ms. Hammond, just so you know, the school district did put a revised letter of support in and said that they are committed to the trail, and we confirmed with Mr. Flynn about the CDC's continued support, so their letter of support is in the application.
But I'm not referring to a letter of support. I am referring to a letter of financial support with an exact amount to it so that you know what it's going to be, not just we're going to do it. That's a little general. Would it be possible for us to table this and get the letters of support, do the repeal on the first resolution, since we have until October, Mayor?
Well, we can set another meeting date, the week of the 25th, sometime in that week.
I know Lee's not going to like this, so, but could we do it on a Friday? Early? Football comes in before, after city. And this is a time that Suzanne is available, so we'll do it and we'll talk fast, Lee. So could I make a motion at this time? My motion is that we postpone this until the day that you say it, and that we present those letters at that time.
Well, Friday is September 29th.
That Monday would be
October
okay
1st.
too.
I don't know, is that going to be?
That's going to be kind of real close.
Can we not do it the Friday before that?
Suzanne says she's getting the Monday before.
Okay, how about the Monday?
It's going to be that 25th, right?
September 25th, Monday, September 25th.
Can I put that in motion, Mayor?
Hey, Teddy, can we be specific that we'd like to make sure that this gets published in the paper and with some
Yes.
visuals of what this pack looks
I
like?
can put that in a motion. It's Monday, September the 25th. I know there's football on TV.
Yeah, but that's not high school football.
Okay.
Totally different.
Yes, there's a motion to postpone this.
Yes, I would like to make a motion that we postpone this and till Monday, the 25th at 6:30. And at that time, I would like for the city to have the letters from the school specifically pledging $51,311. The CDC specifically pledging their support of $30,000. And it also stated that we have a guarantee that we will stay what we vote for. And there will be a public notice regarding the plan and where it goes so people can see the map and that it also be posted at City Hall. I don't know about our website. Can we put, I'm still on the motion, I know, but can we,
Yes, ma'am, we can. put it
and
on the
that we
website.
put this on the city website for all to see. And that's my motion. The 25th at 6:30.
All right, is there a second?
Yes.
Okay, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, unanimous. And so the next meeting will be September 25th, Monday evening at 6:30. That will be a special call meeting.
Have we also got to address what you were saying about this repeal, if we haven't repealed one from May? Okay.
All right. All right, so we'll move on to item number 17. Consider and take any action necessary regarding process for city to release funds to the VA EDC and nature/format of agreement between the city and the VA EDC regarding funding of Phase 1 shared use map.
I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to make a motion that all policies are updated, and not just specifically for Phase 1 shared use path, but for all policies be updated that all tax revenue funding for CDC and EDC must be electronically dispersed within 1 business day after receipt.
All right, is there, that was a motion. So is there a second? Then we'll discuss. All right, we have a second. Is 1 day afterward, is that all right with the city?
That's not reasonable, sir.
Okay.
30 days should be reasonable.
I'm sorry.
30 days should be reasonable.
Oh, no.
No.
Wait.
Yep,
What
just
is
few
wrong
work.
with 1 business day electronically? I've not heard of anybody not being able to electronically release funds.
The check process should take at least a week. I mean, that's 1 day is not reasonable.
What is reasonable? He said 30.
How about 5 business days?
That's-
We can try and do 5 business days.
That's if you're a bank. It
Can-
doesn't make any sense. I do not think that's reasonable, Frank.
First off,
3 business days.
can we, is it possible to do it electronically?
Yes.
An ACH deposit to their account? Is that what we're asking for instead of
Yes.
a paper check?
Yes.
If that's what they'd like to request, we can try, we can look into that. But that's not the way it's been dispersed in the past. So that'd be something that need to be investigated.
Yes, sir.
That-
I didn't-
That's why I made
Go
the
that way.
Mayor,
So,
I just want to speak to myself. Next week. Okay, thank you. Just to let you know, Suzanne, the way that the comptroller issues the funds is they issue them before the second Friday of every month. They issue them on Thursday night at midnight. So by the second Friday of every month, with the exception of this month because of Labor Day, the city gets their checks. The funds are directly deposited into their account. So on a normal month, second Friday, the funds are there when the employees get to work at City Hall on Friday morning, comes in through the night. So there's no real reason why the city couldn't turn right around and then take that money and have it to EDC, CDC by Monday, the latest, the next business day, should be doable. And the way that the local government code 504.301 states that immediately upon receipt, the cities are supposed to disperse those funds. So a 30-day time period is not reasonable and not what the local government code says. So we would like to request that they do it immediately after they receive it. And if it's done electronically, there's no reason why it couldn't be done the very next business day. Because it's coming in, it's there when they get their Friday, there's no reason they couldn't process it and actually send it on Friday, that way it's their Monday when we get to work. But the way that it was done this last month, and I want to thank council because you guys actually spurred EDC getting our check. It took us 25 days to get our check this last month, and we were just shy of 4 weeks getting our sales tax check. We were 2 weeks after CDC was funded. There was no rhyme or reason why we were delayed our monies, and so actually we had no income received for the month of August. So thank you for making sure that we did get our sales tax received.
But we have a motion that says the policy should be updated and that this should be electronically dispersed. Is that correct, Suzanne?
Yeah, I specifically stated electronically dispersed. I mean, I could certainly say 2 business days, but I don't think 5 business days. That's what banks get, and I'm just like, no.
All right, Lee's gonna talk. Lee's gonna talk now, okay? Frank, is it possible for us to electronically transfer the funds to them? Have we ever done it before?
To EDC or CDC? No, sir, we haven't. That hasn't been the case. We can investigate that.
All right, so, we've never done it before. So we don't know if we can do it now.
Come on, Lee.
Well, hey, it hadn't been done before. Do we, has it been done before? No, it's just writing a check. So the resolution is to electronically deposit the funds. If we make the resolution, we don't even know if we can do it. So I'm fine with the.
That's a bigger question. Why
I've
are we
got-
not doing funds electronically?
I don't know. Ask them. They've been here longer than we have.
They're probably paying cell phone bills and all that electronically.
I don't know how they pay the bills. Do we do anything?
Draft payments.
Frank, can you do it?
We do, and I'd like to speak to what Ms. Carr is stating. She is correct, it did take 25 days because the EDC has not made the city whole in regards to phase 1 of the shared use path. CDC has. So what was occurring was the city was exhausting its resources to confirm that the city could not withhold funds to make sure that the city was made whole for phase 1 and that EDC was fulfilling its obligation and its commitment to the city for the path.
Right, got it. Right.
Can the city force the EDC to make a payment and withhold their funds for that reason?
That's up to the council, but what we were doing was we were investigating exactly what the options of the city were.
All right, but the question is, now, I don't think that we want to withhold funds.
You know, that's the comptroller, and you are not allowed to hold their funds.
Okay, I don't think we should be
They're
doing
two
that.
separate, totally different issues.
But the question that Lee asked is can we do it electronically? And that's something, if most likely we can. Robert's the banker, he says we can. But is 1 business day following, is that doable?
Again, sir, I'll have to look into it.
Robert, would you explain, Robert is the authority on this. Would you explain the process of that, Robert? If when you receive it, you can transfer it right then?
Yes, I would think if you have the capacity to receive it, you should also have the capacity to send it. Now, if it's an ACH, it may take a couple of days, as it does from bank to bank. So I think a 2-day period would be reasonable. You know, they're asking for 5 days or 30 days is not reasonable.
That's not reasonable.
All right. Can you research 2 days then, 2 business days after we
Certainly.
No, 2 days.
Certainly, we can look into it.
All right, then, Well, we'll need an answer on that, and so once again, we probably need to pass on this for now.
Well, we can approve this and find out how many, we have a motion already.
Well, I thought you would want some terms.
Mayor, I can't hear you.
We already have a motion on the floor, Mayor, for the policy updating and for this to be electronically dispersed. But the original motion did not have a specific time, that, to my understanding, did it?
One
One
business
business
day.
day.
One business day. But this motion has already been made and it has been seconded, so we do need to, I believe, address that issue first.
All right, I'll read it again, so to make sure that we've got the right motion. Consider and take any action necessary regarding process for city to release funds to VA EDC and nature/format of agreement between the city and the VA EDC regarding, well, no, that's the wrong motion. That's the wrong item.
You just do the first half right now.
Oh, all right.
We're doing the first half of it.
It's a two-parter on that piece. There's two things going on here that should not be related at all. One is about dispersing funds, and then the other is about funding of the remaining shared use path phase one. Two totally separate issues.
Well, they are, but there's only one item on the agenda, number 17, and that's regarding the funding of the phased, or the phase one of the shared use path. So, we can,
Julie, can this, since this was in one sentence, connected with an and, can this be done in two motions instead of one?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
So my motion still stands, and I amended it to 2 days.
all right. So, we're to consider and take action necessary regarding process for city to release funds within 2 working days to VA EDC and the nature and the format of, well, that agreement. Well, no, I guess I have to leave that out
Just
too.
left it.
Release funds within 2 business days to VA EDC. Is that
We
the extent of
need
the
Councilman,
motion?
we need Councilman Jaska to accept the amendment.
I will second, yes, I will second the amended motion.
I specifically said electronically dispersed, so let's make sure we're correct in what I said.
All right, consider and take any action necessary regarding the process for the city to electronically disperse and release funds within 2 business days of receipt to the VA EDC.
Right.
Is that a good motion?
And the
All right.
CDC.
Is that your motion then, Suzanne?
Yes.
All right, and we
Yes.
have a second?
Yes.
All right, we have a second. Any more discussion?
Did that need to include EDC and CDC, or are we just singling out?
The original motion included both.
Okay, the original, okay.
What the agenda item said.
Yeah,
So,
the agenda only says EDC.
Yes, that's correct. The item is only
Just
for
EDC.
EDC.
It's only for EDC.
Okay, so motion
I
six.
can't hear.
okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, it is unanimous. And per your policies, if you wanted to do that for the CDC too, I imagine you could just do that if it works.
If we can do it, sir.
Mayor, I can't hear you.
They're talking about adding the CDC to it. You couldn't add it to the resolution because the resolution item was only for CDC.
All right.
We're up to the second half of this.
Oh, all right.
Why could we not make a uniform policy, and why can we not add CDC at this point?
We'll have to bring it back as an agenda item next month, or next meeting.
Or you can just
Then on there next month, that's ridiculous.
Okay, the special call meeting, we'll do it at the special call meeting.
We can do it on the 25th.
We have a check that's due now, so can you guys
you know that? CDC.
Are we discussing the second part of this?
No, I was asking when this
Not yet.
check will be available, because I know we don't have the ACH.
The check has
I don't
not
know.
been dispersed.
I don't have an answer for that question right now.
You don't have.
Why not?
All right, so
I
they're,
believe
She's asking a
that
question.
oh, they do?
the city attorney asked for this.
City already has
You
them.
know?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
The question was the check that's due now.
Was being released. Was I mistold?
I don't have an answer for that question right now.
The city attorney should.
For the check, if it's ready to be released,
The check that had, the last funds that had come, I think you were going to be cutting the check.
I thought
When
she
we
said she
talked
already
about-
received it, and it was 25 days.
For September.
Oh, okay.
The one for
And
September.
the answer for the third time is, I don't have an answer for that
Would you
question,
please
ma'am.
give me an answer? Can you tell me when I can pick up the check, please?
Can I answer when you can come and pick up the check for a question that I don't know the answer to at this
You
point?
received the funds September 11th. Today's the 12th. Will you please tell me when I
Okay.
can get the check?
I will have to check. The funds came in the 11th, today's the 12th, and, okay. I don't have an answer for that question.
Frank, you're sounding very disrespectful for a straightforward question of. is
Ma'am, I answered the
money
question 3
going to
times.
release it?
I don't understand, if I don't know if the check's ready, I don't know, ma'am.
Who responds for the check?
Do you have the funds?
Who signed?
I will have to check and see if we will receive the funds.
No, do you have the funds from the state right now?
Yes or no?
Yes, no.
Again, I will have to check if we have the funds from the state.
Check the box, yes or
Why
no?
don't city council tell
Why
them
not
to
be
pay the check?
understood? Are the funds there right now?
Ma'am, I don't have any spreadsheet up in front of me as far as stating what funds have been received, ACH, today or yesterday. I will have to check with the finance clerk tomorrow.
Is that a no? I can't hear everything he said.
He won't answer.
I am answering the question. I will have to check.
Maybe the solution would be, since she says the check came in yesterday, when you get there tomorrow, if the check has come in, will she receive the check that day?
If we can process the check, then yes, we will have it ready to go. I don't have
And will we be
whether the
notified?
funds have come in or not. Honest to goodness, she says that the comptroller deposited them on the 11th. That's what she said.
I have the copy from the comptroller's website that shows the date that they just.
Very good. Thank you, ma'am. Then I guess we have received the funds if you have the confirmation. So you answered your own question. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
So the question is, when do we get our funds?
So yesterday.
Well, they came
The
in.
checks, Jody is well aware of the process. Checks are generally ready on Friday.
So does that mean that she can expect to have her check Friday?
The check should be ready Friday.
The last one was 30 days.
Okay, he said Friday. They will be notified to come pick the check up Friday, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, and did we ask the question about the second part of item number 17, which is about the funding of phase 1? Do we have an agreement in place, Frank, that these guys were going to fund phase 1? Do we have any written agreement whatsoever?
We have that the EDC board agreed to fund in 2017 the shared use path. We have council's approval in 2017 to accept the budget from EDC to fund the shared use path as well as their other expenditures. EDC has failed to make the city whole as of
No,
May.
hold on. I ask one question at a time. I think you told me that all you have is an approval of a budget, right? And within that budget, you're saying there was a line item for the shared use path. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, now, I do know, because we just went through this experience with CDC, that those line items. So if we didn't hold them accountable this time, then saying that because there was a line item on there before seems a little wishy-washy. My original question was, do we have a signed agreement other than that budget?
We have a letter of support from EDC. We have a budget that was approved by EDC. We have a budget that was approved by council for EDC. That's the commitment, ma'am.
We also have an email from, for what it's worth, now she's not here, so this is hearsay, but telling me
That's
that
right,
from the
so it's
treasurer,
hearsay.
from the
There is
treasurer,
hearsay. So
from
it
the
doesn't
treasurer
apply.
of
Don't need to listen to
EDC,
it.
saying that she believes that they were
It's
obliged
hearsay.
to provide the funds.
And I want to ask the city attorney, is having something on his budget, is that a contractual commitment between this corporation and the city?
I wouldn't think so, no.
I couldn't hear the response.
She didn't think so, no. She said no, I saw her
So
say
there's
no.
no commitment that EDC has to pay those funds, and the city's just gonna have to suck it up, in my opinion, and just pay the rest of it. It all comes out of the same tax funds. I don't even know if there's a motion that comes out of this. It's just that there were two parts to that item number 17, because we can't continue to try and hold EDC funds hostage because you can't do that. So I don't feel like there's any item for further action to be taken on number 17. I don't know what we could possibly do.
Well, let's move on then.
Okay.
Consider and take any, item number 18, consider and take any action regarding adopting an ordinance levying taxes for the 2017 tax year. And this vote must be a record vote. And so I guess we should call the vote. Is there a motion to take the vote? Anybody make a motion to take it?
I'll make a motion as such.
All right. We have a motion to take the vote. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right, we have a second. All in favor of taking a record vote?
So you have to do it verbally,
You have to take her name.
Yes, we do, and I'll do that. But I just wanted to make sure we're ready to take a record vote. All right, I'm going to start on the left here. Ms. Kroll, do you vote aye or nay?
Aye.
Lee Thomas, aye.
Robert?
Robert Janisket, aye.
Eddie Selman, aye.
Brad Clough, aye.
All right, it is unanimous. And so we have adopted an ordinance levying taxes for the 2017 tax year. All right, now the next item is item number 19. Consider and take any action necessary regarding the review, upgrade, and/or amendment of the city attorney contract. And I'm going to remove this from the regular agenda. I think this, are we not on 19?
We are on 19, but I discussed it with the attorney, and why are you removing it?
Well, don't we, Julie, I'm asking first. Julie, don't we need to discuss this in executive session?
No.
This doesn't require conference with you?
I don't believe what Ms. Solomon may have to say would require conference.
All right, then. Okay, then it's back on the agenda. So I'll read it once more so there's no confusion. Consider and take any action necessary regarding the review, upgrade, and/or amendment of the city attorney contract.
Can I present it now? As you know, we have an engagement agreement with the city attorney services. And what we have is a list of the services that are provided by the city attorney. When we were having a discussion at our workshops and at our previous council meeting, it was requested that the city attorney send us each month a list of an accounting summary of the invoices reflecting the services performed. This is not in the formal list of the engagement agreement. I would like to make a motion that we include this in the agreement for the city's attorney's services so that we have a record of it in black and white. That my motion is that we include this in these services, and it is for the monthly accounting summary for the invoices reflecting the services of that month, and that the public information request be broken down into departments. That is my motion.
Julie, is that management? Why you?
He's already doing it.
Yeah, it is, and just to clarify for the Public Information Act request, you want police department and then general, non-police department, or?
That is correct.
Okay.
All right, and so we have a motion, is there a second?
Yes, I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Wait, discussion.
Discussion. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, do we have any discussion?
Yeah, just let me ask, since this is sort of an open-ended item, are we going through multiple recommendations or individually, or how do you procedurally do this if you've got more than one item you want to discuss about the contract?
I've only presented one item.
You can vote on items separately. Either way is fine.
Oh, okay, I just wanted to make sure I understood that before I voted on your motion to the end.
Thank you.
Well, do we need to do that? I mean,
Yeah, we have to vote on it so that it can be formally.
Well, I
This is
know.
so we get it in black and white.
Kari, how many different items did you have?
One, that it was already discussed and it is already being done, that she sends this. However, I wanted it added to this list that we have the engagement and agreement with, that she add that one of her duties is to present to the council a monthly accounting summary, which she is doing, but we have never formally added it to that list. So I would like that this monthly accounting summary for the invoices for each month be sent to the council, and that under public information request, it be divided not under one section, but under general and under police department.
Okay, well, we have a motion to second.
Yes.
So, and Julie, once again, you understand, you don't have any problem with any of that?
I do not. That's
Okay.
fine, yeah.
All right, so all in favor?
Aye.
It is unanimous. All right, item number 20, consider.
No. This is where I asked about multiple items coming under the contract. I did want to ask, Julie, do you always attend a P&Z meeting?
No, ma'am. I've been to a few, but they're only upon request. They are not regularly attended.
Okay, so in there it said only upon request?
Correct.
Oh, okay, and then it said also, it said in there that the boards were upon request, and I think it also said, though, that you provided services to the other boards, commissions, and city corporations, which would then be CDC, EDC.
It says if I get legal questions from the city relating to the type A or type B, that I should answer those legal questions.
Oh, okay, so it's only legal questions, you don't, okay, you do not provide them service, you'll just answer questions about them.
Yes.
I have provided them service in the past as it's been requested from those particular entities.
Okay, good, I just want to make sure that we were clear on the separation between those two. Okay, and then, I did notice when it did talk about, requests and who could actually make requests, it does say in there that, or the way I'm reading it, it doesn't allow city council to ask you things directly. Am I reading that correctly?
You are.
Okay, I would like to make a motion that it says the mayor and/or city council can directly ask you questions.
I believe we're already on the list, are we not?
The agreement does say that questions from the council are supposed to be routed to the mayor. There is a provision in there that says the engagement can be expanded by mutual agreement. So when everyone is agreed, council members can ask questions. I answer them. If a council member asks me a question, I'm not going to ignore it. I'm going to get you the information that you need. But I would support Ms. Crowell's motion that it would be better to clarify that in the agreement itself.
And I noticed too, you told me last time that a lot of those expenditures we're getting for open records meetings or open record is because of the police department, but it doesn't allow the police chief to request that directly from you, or that has to go through the city manager? How are those requests happening since it seems like they're sizable?
They're really coming from, I think it's the current municipal court clerk that sends them over. The chief doesn't personally send them.
Okay, I didn't understand that, so I wanted to clarify that. Okay, so my motion sticks that I'd like to change the wording to say the mayor and/or council members can contact you directly.
I'll second the
Second.
motion.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
I'm thinking about this. I'm sorry. How do we control the cost on that?
Well, that's different.
Same way we're doing it.
Well, you'll see it every month, and if you feel it's getting out of line, you can lease each other or change.
I mean, because if I pick up the phone and call you and ask you a question, hey, I got a question about this, and Robert says, hey, I was working in the bank, I have a question about the same thing, and he asks you the same thing, and then Suzanne calls and says, hey, I was thinking about this, all three of us have called you and asked you the same question. Whereas, I mean, we would have asked each other, we'd have been a walking quorum, that's
Correct.
slightly related. So,
She's not billing by the call, though. She's billing by the topic and answering it.
no, attorney does by the call.
It's 6 minute increments.
Bill by the call.
It's 6 minute increments. Right.
I would charge you, if you kept a list of your own phone calls and then compared some to the invoice when it came in, you'd probably find some of them missing because you just, something that's that quick just takes more time to write it down than it's worth. But it is in 6 minute increments, that's correct.
Okay. So we would have to watch our, we would have to watch our.
So, you said that it's done in 6 minute increments?
That's standard attorney.
No, in the agreement letter. I don't think it said 6 minute increments, did it?
It does not, it just has the hourly
Right.
rate.
We might want to make that motion next.
It's commonly done.
It's equally common to do in quarter hours, but we do the smaller increment at our firm.
Yeah, 6 minute increments is just fine.
All right. So that was a motion, I guess we need a second.
What do you think?
motion was that questions could come from mayor and/or council members. That's not a quote, that's a paraphrase. Is that correct?
I can't hear you, Mayor.
Mayor and council members directly.
Correctly.
Okay.
Correct.
All right, so that was the motion. Is there a second?
Teddy and already seconded.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, it is unanimous. All right, now we had an item number 20. It has been withdrawn by the person who
Oh,
made it.
wait, I thought we just talked about 6-minute increments are not within the contract. We need to say how it's billed. Right now, it says we're billed by the hour.
Or a fraction of the hour.
Tenths. It would be a tenth.
We're good with it. It's a tenth of the hour. It's fine, the way we are. Let's just roll with it, trust me.
I would do it. I want to make a statement.
Okay, all right. We're, I think she's withdrawn. Yes, we did vote. Okay.
Then number 12.
Oh, I thought you was withdrawn. Have you not?
No, I want to make a statement to withdraw.
I can't hear discussion if there's any going on.
Go ahead.
They don't include us on the side of that.
Are you at item 20 now?
Yes.
This item cannot be upgraded or amended, therefore I have to withdraw this item from the agenda.
What? Can't hear what you said, Teddy.
I said this item cannot be upgraded or amended, therefore I have to withdraw this item.
I have requested that we do have an executive session, which should be coming from Julie.
There is language at the bottom of the agenda that there can be an executive session.
I didn't hear that one.
There is language on the bottom of the agenda that would permit for an executive session to discuss the item with legal.
Is this executive session to discuss that item or discuss a procedure?
Yeah, it wasn't for tonight though, right? It's for the next
Right,
meeting.
it was for the next, that, what you're referring to is to the next meeting. And we'll go to the attorney.
All right, so item number 20 has been withdrawn by Ms. Sound. So we're on to the item number 21 is the city manager's report.
Mayor and council, city manager report for the month of August. I attended a recognition of dispatch, fire department, and PD employees in Plano regarding the positive outcome of Fire Captain Mark Hardy, City of Plano, back on, and the motor vehicle accident that he was involved in was back on August 23rd of 2016. He's back at work and doing well. Had a meeting with ISD over the elementary number 2 permit, which is now going to be Sanford Elementary, I believe. Engineering and I met with Anna over 1106 improvements that Anna is completing just for us to review drainage and future improvements once that portion of the ETJ is inside the city. Attended groundbreaking of Bob and Lola Sanford Elementary behind the middle school. Met with the Sparks family regarding the special event. Attended the Grayson County Thoroughfare Plan kickoff meeting. Attended planning and zoning. Met and discussed development with Cable One administrator. And Saturday the 26th through the Thursday the 31st was on state deployment. Also have several downtown business owners that have expressed concern about downtown parking and the congestion that they're experiencing during different times of the day. Recommend that council review possible solutions for these items and problems that they're experiencing. That is it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Could I ask, how come we didn't have department heads this time?
They weren't required at this meeting, ma'am.
I thought we always had them on our regular meetings.
It's not mandated, we have them, but not this time. However, I think Frank has some figures if you want them to read them off to you.
No, I'm just trying to understand consistency here about whether they do or do not.
It's never been required. We've had them here, but I don't think, unless there's a specific request for a particular department head to be here to answer specific questions, then I don't think we need them here. These meetings take so long, and they sit and they sit until they get a chance to read 30 seconds worth of statistics. I just don't want to keep them here for that. They have other duties.
So we won't have them unless we ask for them. Is that the new procedure?
No, ma'am. Department heads will be here if there's something that they have to present for their specific department.
You guys are still confusing me. It's like they've been here for the last 3 months. Now they're not here, and then you're telling people maybe they will, maybe they won't. I'm trying to understand when I get to hear from the departments, and I'm now being left with if I ask for them.
If they have something specific that's on the agenda, they'll be here to present, ma'am.
Otherwise, if you just want statistics, then Frank can read those. All right.
Yes, ma'am.
Time for,
Sorry, I was ready to go home and turn my speaker off. But I would like to know when and where we can make the recommendations regarding the parking in the downtown area.
We can have it on that next agenda on the 25th.
I would like very much to have that as an item and have that so that we can have some input and some recommendations.
Yes, ma'am.
You've been here for a long time. I have no comments this evening. Suzanne, do you have any comments, closing comments? Closing comments.
Yeah,
do you
I
have
would
any?
like to, I wanted to say that whoever put the sewer usage flyer in the monthly water bill that we got, I thought it was very, very helpful, and I wanted to say I thought it was a great idea, and thank you for sending it. I really liked it.
Yeah, I've been thinking about it. Volunteers, I know, thank y'all for coming and everything else, but like we said, volunteers. Volunteers is what makes our government, everything from the Army to the Marine Corps to the Navy, it's all about volunteers.
Don't forget the Air Force.
And the Air Force, and Coast Guard. But it's all about volunteers. And that's what makes our government. So I appreciate everyone that goes to, that has signed up for these boards, for these committees, for these corporations. It doesn't go without others. And without y'all, we can do what we try to do. So I just want to say thank y'all for the volunteers.
I would just like to thank all the citizens that are present, that are interested in and care about how their government works here. We value your input, we take it to heart, and hopefully we take the right action on the right thing to do. Secondly, I'd like to thank the small business owners that are here. There's a few that are left. There were a lot more here earlier, I believe. Thank them for being part of this community. I've done this before and I'll do it again. Also want to thank our board members of our various entities, CDC board, the EDC board, the library board, the parks board, everybody that's involved, the Friends of the library board. Thank everyone for their service to the community. And lastly, making an announcement, The Texoma Patriots are having a meeting Tuesday, September 19th, 7 p.m. at Bucksnort Barbecue, and they will be having speakers that are Representative Matt Rinaldi of the State House and Representative Scott Sanford, who's also of the State House, Districts 115 and 70 respectively. If y'all would like to come and see more of what your government's doing on the state level. Thank you.
Thank you for coming tonight. It's always nice to know that there are still those who have the tenacity to stick with it to the very end. Thank you for coming and thank you for staying.
All right.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
Third.
All right, everyone's in favor. So the time is 8:42 p.m. and we are adjourned.